Are you a collector of moments? Do you have a favourite song that always takes you back in time? What about a particular scent or smell? In this episode, we are journeying back in time to harness all of those lost memories. And guess what? We are going to bring them all back. Hey, I'm Steph, and I'm obsessed with all things travel, marketing, branding, and helping you stand out from the crowd. In just under 2 years, I went from being a home-based travel agent with zero clue how to make it work in the digital world to launching an international ranking travel podcast and creating an online course to help travel agents in lead generation. Here's one thing I know for sure. There has never in the history of the world been a better time to create the travel business you've always wanted. All you need is an actionable strategy and someone to show you the way. Picture this, we're going to spend the next hour of our time together at the Swim Up Pool Bar, where over a cocktail, we deep dive into travel-related topics, mixed with a little classroom training. This show is dedicated to encouraging you to step outside of your comfort zone and into your travel business. I'll show you how I did it and how you can too. Hit subscribe now and let's get into it. If you're a travel agent wanting to onboard your perfect fit clients into your biz, download my free cheat sheet for lead generation systems you can use right now. Head to stephaniemyers.academy/cheat sheet. You're listening to Unplug in Paradise, the podcast. Hello, it's Stephanie Myers here. Welcome back to Unplug in Paradise. Today's episode is a little bit of a fun one, so I really hope that you are settled in wherever you are, so whether that's at home or you're out and about or you're heading out on a road trip, and get ready to have some fun. But please join me before we get into the episode. I'd like to recognise the generations of the local Aboriginal people of the Bundjalung Nation who have lived in and derived their physical and spiritual needs from the forests, rivers, lakes and streams of this beautiful valley over thousands of years as the traditional custodians and owners of these lands. So let's get into it. Today's episode, I will be sharing some of my favourite travel moments that pop up for me time to time through different triggers of my senses. You know the ones that sneak up on you, which can sometimes make you feel like you've slammed the rewind button times 100, landing straight back into the exact moment and time and place and location. And I just love it when that happens. So by sharing a few of my nostalgic moments, I hope it will help inspire you to help in a way of reconnecting those positive neural pathways of yours, especially when it comes to reminiscing over your magical travel memories. I'm pretty excited to see what memories pop up for me in this episode, so let's get into it. Let's dive on in. Hey, do you remember ever hearing the saying when you were little, no one knows what the nose knows? Yes? No? If yes, you will definitely be able to relate to this conversation. If not, hang tight, as I'm sure that you'll soon understand and catch on to what it is that I mean. Before jumping into my personal experiences, I've been doing some research into what exactly happens when your sense of smell is triggered. You may already know this, but for those who aren't sure, and I certainly didn't know this before researching it myself, it's something that they call the olfactory system. I think that's how you pronounce it, which I think is pretty interesting, and the true travel agent that I am, I decided to do a little bit more digging, and what I found was some really cool facts that I would love to share with you. Did you know that there is a thing called an olfactory branding specialist? Bit of a mouthful, right? I don't expect you to know unless you're a scientist or something, or have any idea what that particular job may consist of. Have you ever noticed why every beautiful hotel has its own signature scent as soon as you walk into the lobby? Yep, that is their job. So an olfactory branding specialist is somebody who is employed by hoteliers to work out their own signature scent. Incredible, right? I bet you they've got a little jar of coffee beans in their car or in their pocket every time they're smelling new scents. Be a good job, I think. I'd like it. So, according to the Harvard Business Review article that I've looked up on Google, it's called Inside the Invisible but Influential World of Scent Branding. And hotels such as the Hyatt Place ensures that its unique, seamless signature scent delivers a sensation of welcoming elegance and calm through a blend of fresh blueberries and light florals on a base of warm vanilla musk. That sounds bloody amazing. Sounds so good I could eat it. Today, Hyatt Place signature scent can be found in almost 300 hotels across the United States. It also states that the scent is such a proven brand asset that it has been codified as a brand standard that defines the company's experience and brand personality. So it's just the same as the background colour scheme, its decor, and its whole advertising as well. So yeah, I didn't realise this before, but it's a pretty interesting realisation that occasionally our senses are being hijacked and exploited in the best way possible, of course, and, that's completely okay with me. Not sure about you, but I absolutely love the smell of a really good hotel. When you walk in, it just captures you straight away. And I always find myself, whisking my suitcase, strolling along the marble floor. And, you always do that whole this is luxury. That's the smell of luxury right there. Yeah, a bit of a dag, but, it's the small things. In another article I found by Live Science, it's called Why Do Smells Trigger Strong Memories? They say that scents are really special because they can bring back memories that might otherwise have been never been recalled. And if there's a smell that connects to something that happened happened way back in our past and you never run into that smell again, you may otherwise never remember what that thing was. So when I was reading all of this earlier, I was like, wow, that saying I said earlier about makes so much sense about, no one knows what the nose knows, but the nose knows absolutely bloody everything. My mind may have just had a little bit of a brain explosion as well. I hope yours did too, if you weren't 100% sure of that saying earlier, but now you know. You learn something new every day. Now, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that has these little mini brain spazzes, little moments where 1 minute you're being yourself, just living your life, and all of a sudden, bam, out of nowhere, this memory comes flooding back to you. And all of a sudden, you are back soaking up the Californian sun, poolside in San Francisco, waiting on that fruity cocktail and wondering whether the water is warm enough to swim in. I'd give everything up to be to swap reality for that right now. But how good is it that we can have these little daydreams and these little subtle reminders of just how awesome our moments in time really are and how we need to cherish them a little bit more than what we do, because life's busy and sometimes it's nice to sit back and reminisce of the old times. Most times it's a completely random moment as well, and this probably happens with you too, that you never know what your brain has actually retained over time. Moments that you think are, that you've never ever going to think of again actually come back up, and you're thinking, wow, how do I actually remember that? So this, makes it even more incredible. I was just saying to a friend at the beach a couple of weeks ago, we took our kids down there, and we were talking about how different times of the year remind us of different trips we've been on. And in amongst our chatter, we were talking about my favourite coconut-scented Latan sunscreen, and it jolted her. She said, oh, this so reminds me of our mum's holiday cruise we did a few years ago. And right there and then, it threw us back on board our cruise ship in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We were dripping wet from the pool and drying off, getting ready to order a pizza and chill in the sun lounges on the Lido deck. So thanks to the sunscreen, it took us on this whole roller coaster of reminiscing awesome times. So I absolutely love it when that happens. And I really hope that you guys can start doing that as well. Start talking about and sharing your travel memories. I know I've got a few friends that I see on Facebook and Instagram showing their photos of their travels, and I absolutely love it. Another moment in time that I really love is the beginning of May. Every year, the beginning of May, the first week especially, as the days slowly become shorter and the nights become cooler and the mornings are more crisp. And I don't know, there's just something about the smell of the earth as the sun warms it up in that first week. And I think it's officially the start of hot chocolate weather as well. And when your winter blankets and your snuggly comforts all start crawling out of the cupboards. But for me, that time of year really reminds me of a family trip I did where we drove a motorhome from Perth in Western Australia up the west coast to Exmouth and back again in 6 days. So I wouldn't suggest anyone do that. And anyone who's listening and is possibly considering doing this particular itinerary, Perth to Exmouth return, please don't do it in this time frame. Just don't do it. It's roughly 1,300 kilometres in one direction, which is 13 hours worth of driving. So if you need some advice, I will happily send you through an example itinerary that will give you enough time to spend exploring this stunning coastline. So don't do what I did, because next time I do this amazing drive, I will practice what I preach. Anyway, I'm digressing. So back to little things that happen to trigger your senses. Tastes are another big one as well. Anything with lime, chili and coriander so reminds me of Thailand. Gosh, it takes me back to Koh Phi Phi Island, overlooking Koh Phi Phi Lay, sitting up on my little balcony. You know, I've got my little tom yum soup with the chili and the lime and the coriander. It's absolutely stunning. And strangely enough, popcorn and fairy floss always reminds me of Disneyland. You'd think that, you know, like popcorn and fairy floss would remind you of, you know, the show or the movies or something like that, but it doesn't. It reminds me of Disneyland. So if Disneyland has a smell, it smells like fairy floss and popcorn. Oh, and also I live in the flight path on the just near the Gold Coast Airport here in Coolangatta. So anytime I smell jet fuel, God, it sets off those crazy butterflies. It's like, oh, I just want to go somewhere. Another amazing smell, and I'm on a roll now. Another amazing smell that I absolutely love is Christmas time. And yeah, I think I do actually call it Christmas time, because where I live here in the northern New South Wales area of Australia, our coastline is fringed with these really beautiful, massive Norfolk Island pines that release this super unique smell. And I'm pretty sure it's from the trees. I haven't actually done any research on this actually, but I'm pretty certain it's from the trees. They must release this sap or something in the leaves. But yeah, it releases this smell. And it's fairly unique because after a long summer's day, you can really smell it, like predominantly as the sun goes down. And for me, that's the smell of summertime, swimming till dark, Christmas, you know, seeing friends and family and having all the love and fun all rolled into one. So it's super special, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that again very soon, because at time of recording, it's heating up here in Australia. We're having 30-degree days and it's only November. So yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a scorcher, which is so Aussie for my overseas listeners. But yeah, if you're ever on the Northern Rivers area of New South Wales over summer and you're hanging out from 5 p.m. onwards, you'll know the smell that I mean. So I have a little exercise this week for you, and I really just want to see who participates in this, because it's a bit different and it's going to sound a bit weird, but I want you to go through and dig out all of your toiletries. Because let's face it, ladies, if I take them home with me as free souvenirs, it would be safe to assume that you all do too. So just for a hint of extended holiday vibes at home, all I want you to do is dig them up, have a sniff, see if anything comes back to you. Because if you're anything like me, you take them, you cherish them, you bring them home. And then periodically you might find one, you'll open it up, you'll have a smell, you'll rub a little bit on your wrist, and you'll, keep sniffing it, and you'll go, oh gosh, that reminds me of my trip to Uluru. Oh gosh, that reminds me of my trip to Hawaii. Because when you're on holidays, the first thing you kind of do is go to the bathroom, you refresh yourself, and then you look at the toiletries and you're thinking, right, these look nice. And you always pick up the moisturiser. Don't tell me I'm the only one that does this. You pick up the moisturiser, you rub it like on your arms, on your chest, on your legs, or wherever you're feeling dry, or in your hands, and use it as a hand cream. And it really helps you to, associate those positive attachments and those positive connections to where you are. So there's actually quite a pretty talented marketing ploy behind it all, which, before this episode I didn't actually realise. So, the more you know. So I'd really love to see if anything comes out of this for you. So I really want you to go through, have a sniff through your toiletries. Sounds weird, but I don't care. Share it with me on Instagram, and let me know if any of your experiences come up for you, your past experiences, and let's keep this conversation going, because I think we can have a lot of fun with it. So I'd love to know where your nose has taken you. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was such a fun episode. If you have liked this episode and want to find out more, all of the article links are in the show notes. So make sure you head over to travelbystephanie.com.au/21 to learn more about those if you're interested. I might drop in a couple of extras because there is so much more information out there. And if you're interested in learning behind the whole marketing side of things, which I'm pretty intrigued of as well, go over and have a look. I'll make sure that they're all in there for you. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast in general, I'd love it if you go over to Apple Podcasts on the app in your phone. Give me a 5-star rating and a written review if you can. That would be absolutely amazing. I received a new one last week, and I'll see if I can bring it up for you because it was actually quite special. I don't know the listener at all, but I'm sure if I give her a shout out, she might get in touch with me. Just bear with me. Okay, here we are. A travel agent linking us to the world in these strange times. 5 stars, hooray! Thank you. Pure genius. Loving the episodes so far and now totally addicted to this podcast. The host has a great style of conversation and the flow is easy to listen to. Great pod for taking my dog for a walk and dreaming of being free in the world again. Keen for a retreat in Byron Bay too. I will definitely be in touch. Oh, that was from Ainsley Rose 78. So thank you, Ainsley. Much appreciated. And so glad that you're listening to the podcast and enjoying it so far. Makes my absolute day. So if you've not subscribed yet, make sure you head over to Apple Podcasts, click subscribe. Or if you're in Spotify or prefer Spotify, I think you just got to click follow. Follow for Spotify and subscribe for Apple Podcasts. And make sure you're getting notified of the episodes that drop every Wednesday. Until next week, look after yourself and more importantly, look after your nose. I'll chat soon. See you. Bye.